Hey there, so today we have another review, and this is from New Belgium. This is the Hemperor HPA Hemp Pale Ale, I guess that's what they call it, 7%, and this is a combination of hops, obviously used in beer, and hemp seeds. So weed is obviously a relative to hops. Holy Wheat is obviously a relative to hops, and the terpenes or flavor compounds in both are the aromatic compounds that sort of remind hops of weed sometimes, or weed reminding you of hops sometimes. But that is insane. I've had this on draft once before, and it completely overtakes the aromatics of the table, and I just popped that, and I just got a big whiff of a bag of dirty, dirty weed. Yeah, let's see how it is when I pour it into the glass. Beer is crystal clear. Look at that IPA that has clarity to it. Beer comes in a deep gold color, and it's still just singing of just weed for days. Underneath, you get a little bit of that crystal malt, a little bit of caramel sweetness, but I'm actually getting a little bit of hops underneath it too. There's a little bit of light pine. The malt's mostly driving through, but I mean, it's insane. I know a lot of times with hops, it's like, oh yeah, this is dank, or this smells like weed. This literally smells like weed. A lot of times you go with tasting notes, and it has reminders of things that you're trying to call out, fruits, whatever it may be. This literally, if you blindfolded somebody and you open this bottle, or you just ran this under their nose, they would immediately think there was actual marijuana in the room. This is no joke. Like, and underlying, there's a little bit of this like iced tea thing dancing in there, some black tea. Cheers. See, the beer's all right too. It's just a little boring. So up front, following with the aromatics, pops of more of that weed dankness. But this has classic West Coast IPA tasting notes to it. There's pine, there's a little bit of that like bitter grapefruit rind, not super fruity, but you know what I'm talking about, that like familiar pine grapefruit thing that West Coast double IPAs do. The malts follow through as well. More of that West Coast malt thing. There's more, a little bit of caramel. There's some of that biscuit chewiness. There's a little bit of that sugar candy thing dancing in there. There is proper bitterness to this one. It follows with a little bit of dank, some pine. Decently clean. Yeah, decently clean beer. Doesn't override on too much of that sugary quality I was talking about. Has that classic malt bill with a little bit of that kind of crystal malt sweetness, telling you the malts are there. Smacks with some bitterness. And then there's that weed thing that just is sprinkling around, hits you up front, hits you on the back end. It emphasizes a more dank character than you generally get from West Coast double IPA because it's so spot on, like hemp weed qualities. Yeah, it's nice. You know, it's fun. It's a novelty with the aromatics and the flavor profile, with how much like it's scary. It literally smells like weed. But then underneath it is actually a decent beer. If you want to go back to some West Coast IPA, this is a good example. And then, you know, maybe it's a little boring sometimes, and you don't want to always drink West Coast IPA. So now you get this. So you get that fun weed thing it does, but then underneath it is still that familiar beer that we were all drinking 4 or 5 years ago, 6-10 years ago for some of you guys. And yeah, so it does a good job. It's fun. As for rating, I wish it played with some more citrus. I mean, that's just me. I mean, New England haze, bro. I think that would have been fun. You get the weed to dominate, take completely over, and then maybe zing us a little bit of citrus dancing in there, some of that grapefruit, some of that orange, to really, you know, bump up some complexity of flavor. But maybe you don't want to do that. You just want to stick to pine. You want to stick to resin. You want to stick to earthiness and dank, and you just want to pile that on top of the weed and just like sell it all the way, go all in on those flavor profiles, and not even give a darn about, you know, the Haze Bros, any fruitiness. Screw the fruits. We're here for the weed. 420, boys. As for rating, still good beer. It's just straight up like actually good IPA. It's fun. I like the novelty factor. Let's go with an 89 on this one. 89, New Belgium Hemperor. I'm impressed. Super fun. Don't remember the last time I smelled anything like this in a beer before. Complete shocker. New idea. 420 boys. Get your hands on some. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Later.